upon mankind as the eloquent 200-year-old product of man's wisdom, foresight, compassion, and genius for compromise, reverently displayed here at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. Though a permanent resting place for the Constitution was found here in this structure in 1952, it is anything but moribund. On the contrary, it was created by the Founding Fathers with the fervent hope that it would forever serve as a living guide to meet the needs of the people, no matter how varied those needs might be. And those needs were as varied as the people themselves. The Constitution spoke to the former slave, who finally broke the chains of bondage and vowed never to be bound again by servitude. It spoke to the woman, who demanded and received representation at the voting booth, equal representation for all. It speaks to the President of the United States, who places his hand on the Bible and swears to uphold the Constitution, just as it speaks to the immigrant taking the oath of citizenship. It speaks to the radical firebrand shouting unpopular slogans to a small group of skeptics in a public park, just as it speaks to the broadcaster on national television, informing listeners of the possible dangers threatening their constitutional rights. And it speaks to the newborn child, whose rights begin at birth. It is a document for all the people, the oldest living Constitution. It lives because those 55 men who sat in the stifling heat of a Philadelphia summer 200 years ago, forging this unprecedented document, dared to place their trust in the basic good judgment of the people. If we accept the rights and privileges granted by the Constitution, we must also be prepared to meet the obligations that go with it. If we cherish the right of free speech, we must support and defend the right of every citizen to share in that precious privilege. If we want the protection of the courts and the right to a fair and speedy trial, we must support the justice system and serve when we are called upon. If we are to perpetuate this form of government in which power is vested in the people, we must always be vigilant to expose and correct the abuse of power wherever it is found. And if we are to continue to enjoy the protection of this blessed document, we must continue, each of us, to participate in the shaping and the reshaping of our nation's destiny. Millions upon millions of words have been written interpreting these few short paragraphs and amendments. And millions of lives have been molded and changed by these simple yet elegantly profound words. It is written that one of the original objects of the Constitution was to form a more perfect union, an alliance based on mutual respect and mutual control, with the source of power coming from the will of the people. And we, the people, through 200 years of testing and questioning, honing and refining, enforcing and reinforcing these noble ideas, have indeed formed a more perfect union. Not yet perfect by any means, but more perfect. And with that goal of perfection before us, we must constantly go forward toward a brighter future for all our citizens. From the vantage point of the present, we look back tonight at our past and hold out great hopes for our continued growth as we, the people, celebrate the 200th anniversary of the United States Constitution.